Fitin10, it is day 10 of the challenge, 1/7 through. This challenge goes by fast, but of course, really in the beginning, it's like we just kind of, getting our wheels out of the mud, right? We're just getting used to things, becoming more in tune with the workouts, what's involved in the workouts, the cardio, and arguably the hardest part, the eating. And you know what, I just want to put this out here because I know I've probably already mentioned this. I think I already mentioned this at least once. But I overheard somebody saying this, not somebody in the challenge, it was somebody outside the challenge. And I heard them say, are you going through the bulking phase of the Fitin10? There is no bulking phase. There is no bulking phase. There is no bulking phase. What does bulking mean? Bulking essentially means, you could add some muscle during bulking, but essentially what bulking means is you're adding fat to your body. We're not adding fat. The challenge is not a fat gain challenge, okay? The challenge is a fat loss. And we never really change your calories that much throughout this challenge. Not that much, okay? Because it's the power of consistency of the right thing, of course. That's where the magic lies. That's what it's about. I could leave your calories where they are. And listen, the change that I make to your calories as time goes on, do they make a difference? Yeah, they make a difference. But it's not a huge difference from beginning to end. And we're slowly shaving those off as we go along. Very, 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 very minutely. If you just took your calories from the get-go and you just kept those calories from week 1 and went all the way through, you'd lose a tremendous amount of body fat. I can guarantee you that, okay? So it's not even really the change that is making the difference here. It is the consistency of a reasonable amount combined with the working out. That is the magic here, okay? And, I want to remind you that if you have a sensation of fullness, okay, you probably know this by now. If you have a sensation of fullness, it doesn't mean that you're in a calorie surplus. And likewise, if you're in a state of hunger, it doesn't necessarily mean you're in a calorie deficit, right? The way you feel hunger, in terms of the way or the level of hunger that you have has nothing to do with, the amount of food that you're eating, okay? Or I should say the amount of calories. It has to do with the, I gotta correct myself here, it has to do with the amounts and types of foods you eat, okay? So, don't think that just because you're full right now, you're overeating, okay? It's not necessarily the case, okay, at all, okay? In fact, I'm gonna tell you right now it's not the case, okay? So long as you're measuring everything out correctly. This is on the assumption that you're following everything. All right, so that brings me to my next question. Somebody asked me, they said, what is better for me not to get all my calories in, okay, or all my macros, and to go to bed earlier or to go to bed later and get all my macros in? Okay, so basically they're giving me an ultimatum. Do I do this and there's a downfall, or do I do this and there's a downfall? The answer is there shouldn't be any of those downfalls. It should be you get your macros in and you go to bed at a reasonable time. This, again, just boils down to planning and preparing. That's all it is, just plan and prepare. Figure out the foods you love to eat. Okay, again, I love bison, and I love, I still love chicken, and I love salmon. So I have at least 2 of those made all the time. And then, I love things like the iso bars, okay, which we'll talk about in a second. I know I've already mentioned these, but I can't rave about these enough. And I love things like cottage cheese and Greek yogurt. So you just have to find things or combinations of food that you love, and then make them work into your macros, and most importantly, plan them and prepare them in advance. Okay, winging this and then trying to make up your macros in the day is not a good strategy, okay? Everything else that you do, I can reasonably assume that most of the things that you do are planned out. You set a time, you've allotted a time, you've planned everything out. It's just that you don't make eating a priority. Eating for you in your life has probably never been a priority. It's just been like, oh, I'll just, whatever, I'll do what I have to do, and then when I get hungry, I'll just eat something, right? So now we're thinking about what we're eating, right? And we're thinking about the amounts that we're eating. So this is where it becomes more of a priority. So you need to slot in some time in the week, right, at some point, for you to get yourself organized in this fashion, okay? You cannot wing it. So make sure you get enough sleep and make sure you get all your macros in, okay? And I know that's not the answer you wanted to hear, but it's the answer that I'm going to give you. All right, ISO bars. Why do I love these so much? I'm telling you right now, I'm not making this up. They are the product that I make the least amount of money from. These are really expensive. The wholesale price on these are really expensive. But I love the bar, and I will not sell something that I just don't believe in. This is the only bar. Well, there's actually one other bar I'll talk about in a second that I don't carry, that I think is okay as well. But for what you get in this and what the ingredients are, I cannot find a bar that matches this, okay? Somebody had mentioned to me, I can't remember who it was, Lori, it may have been you, that you knew of a different bar that somebody was making out of their garage or something like that, so I'd be very interested to know about that. The reason why I like this bar is because it's made with all whole food ingredients. It's baked. It doesn't have that fake flavor. There's not any, sweeteners in this beyond foods that are just naturally sweet, like things like cranberries and honey, etc. in this bar, and a little bit of chocolate. But it's all real whole food. Real whole food in this bar. And 60% of the ingredients are certified organic. I mean, that's great. I'm going to say it. I don't really know what that means, though. I mean, I have an idea of what that means, but really what does it mean? What is considered organic, what isn't, right? But anyways, if that matters to you, 60% of the ingredients in here are organic. It's high in protein, and most importantly, like I keep saying, it's made with all real whole food ingredients. And that's what I want to see. So if you're going to go pick out a bar, look for real whole food ingredients. There is a bar that Costco carries. It's a little bit high in fat, to be honest with you, but it's still a great bar. And the reason why it's a great bar is because it's made with all whole food ingredients. It's made with like egg whites. So it usually has like 1 or 2 ingredients that differ from this. Egg whites, dates, almonds, and then they usually have 1 other ingredient in there. And that's all they're made of. And so they're very, very simple bars. But I know some people have an allergy to egg whites. I have an allergy to egg whites, actually. I still eat them, and I just deal with the consequences. But if you want to know what the consequences are, it's not as bad as you think. It's just I tend to get a little bit of a rash on my leg. Very strange, but it happens. Anyways, I carry these in addition to the Magnum Quattro. So if you want to try one, let me know. They are really good tasting. I think they're really good tasting. They sell really well. And they're even the cost of them, even though your cost is about just under $4 a bar, what you get and the amount of calories and macros, they're very, very reasonable if you were to translate that into real food, right? If you think about the cost of real food, if you were to buy it, these are very, very reasonable, okay? You get what you pay for. All right, where am I at for time? Almost 8:30. Okay, message of the day. And what did I talk about in the beginning here? I said, what was the magic behind this? It was being consistent with something reasonable, right? So I'm going to remind you again, long-term consistency over short-term perfection. Hey, listen, if you can do long-term perfection, awesome. But don't think about short-term perfection, that's going to be better than long-term consistency. And what I mean by that is, you being within 10% of your macros and then just continuing with that, is going to be much better than you being perfect with your macros and doing that for a very short period of time. Okay, so what we want to do here is think about something that's reasonable. The only way we can keep something consistent is for it to be reasonable. And of course, this whole point of this challenge is for you to understand that you can still have a decent amount of calories in your diet, lose a substantial amount of body fat, not feel hungry, and go on your life feeling good and happy, and most importantly, physically and mentally good, right? And I gotta squash all of the different diets out there. They drive me crazy. It's not necessary. It's not necessary to cut out carbs. It's not necessary to just cut out all fats, or to fast, or to do any of these things. Not that fasting doesn't have some benefits, but when it comes to fat loss, you want to think about this as a long-term thing. As I said before, you're just a reflection of what you do. So whatever you choose to do, you want to make sure you can continue to do it, because as soon as you change it, you're just going to be a reflection of that. Okay, so think about that with whatever diet you do in the future. Hopefully it's not any different than this. Okay, that is it. I think I rambled a lot on that on this video today. Positive energy, positive vibes, believe in yourself, and for the love of humanity, give some gratitude, be happy for everything you have, and I'll talk to you guys all very soon. See you guys.